Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Set Listing Bruce, your podcast all about Bruce Springsteen, his music, and mostly his fans. I am your host, Jesse Jackson. We are getting off the Bruce Springsteen train today, though I'm sure he will come up as he normally does. I have a musician that is in Germany from Israel. Did I have that right, Eden?
Yes, it is.
So good. Eden Levine is joining me. We're going to talk about her musical journey, and we have a new single to discuss that is being released at the end of January. So we'll get
Right.
into that. But first off, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Thanks. So tell my audience a little bit about yourself.
Right. So, as you heard, my name is Ellen Levin. I am originally from Jerusalem and I moved to Leipzig, Germany 5 years ago with my dear husband. I am many things. First and foremost, an entrepreneur. So, I have a relocation agency to Leipzig, which actually started a few months ago. So, it's kind of fresh. I'm also a full-time content creator for a German company, but doing it in English. And also an organizer of a female entrepreneur meetup in Leipzig. And also now, as of recently, a singer in a swing metal band. Yeah.
Yes, and I am excited about talking all of that. You were nice enough to send me a link to the unreleased single. I've listened to it multiple times. I'm looking forward to talking about it. But let's get back. I always like to start at the beginning. Talk about growing up and what kind of music did your family listen to when you were, a youngster?
Right. So actually, I'm very much influenced from my dad. He was also really into music, was playing many instruments, was singing, writing his own songs as well. And actually, when before coming to the podcast, I actually thought, okay, let's search if I do know any Bruce Springsteen songs. And actually, there's one that I can say I grew up on, which is The River. So as you
Nice.
said, we always get back to Bruce at some point. So it was very early on. Yeah, so that was like the genre, you can say, that I listened to a lot. You can somehow say I was forced to, but I really enjoyed it. Big in Japan, Guns N' Roses, like this kind of genre, so rock, oldies, stuff like that. But I also grew in the 90s. So very much also the 90s pop music was very much around. My mom was not really like the biggest music fan, so it's mainly my dad, and he was like so much into music, so it will be every time, like almost every day I will hear something. We had like a stereo machine at home, so we had a lot of CDs, and I would just always put something after I come back from school. And since I was not the one buying the CDs, that was always like, what's in there? So I really grew up a lot with these kind of music. So it's kind of like between rock and pop, you can
Do,
call it.
do you remember the first CD or album you bought with your own money?
Oh, I think that was in high school. And that was actually from 3 Days Grace.
Okay.
So yeah, that was took a while until I had my own money to buy CDs.
Absolutely. So you mentioned how long have you been living in Germany?
5 years.
Okay. And what you said you followed your wonderful husband. Tell me that story. How did you guys meet and how did you guys end up being in Germany?
Well, that actually has also a lot to do with music, to be
Okay,
honest.
sure.
We met when I was in the army, and we met in a Facebook group, and I just posted my picture saying, "Hi, I'm looking for to get to know people and stuff like that," and got out of the Facebook group. Eventually, he found me, and the one thing that I always like filter when I choose my partners is the music taste.
Right.
So to me, it's super important. And he matched my taste, which is rock and metal. And he had his own metal band. and he's a music producer. So he was really into creating music, and he was, when we first talked, he said, yeah, I'm looking for a singer, so that would be really an awesome match. And eventually he discovered that my voice is not really matching what he thought about his band, but we really hit it off. And eventually, and also one other criteria for becoming my husband, or at least my partner, was knowing that I want to move out of Israel. So that is also something he had to agree before we even started our first date. So these are, yeah.
So is he from Israel as well?
Yes,
Okay.
he's also from Israel.
So I was thinking he was German, and so you guys ended up
No, no,
being
no.
home.
We
So
moved
okay.
together to
Oh,
move to
okay.
Germany.
Why
Yes.
Germany?
Oh, well, first of all, I have an EU citizenship because of my grandparents from my mother's side, and
Okay.
so that's easier.
Okay, sure.
And also, since he's really into metal, then Germany also has a huge metal scene, and also a lot of economical reasons and friendly people that they have here. We did visit here once before, not in Leipzig, to be honest. We came here without seeing the city at all. But we kind of studied it like a year before to figure out if that is a good place for us. Yeah, we narrowed it down to Germany.
So Germany has a big metal community. I was not aware of that.
Well, they do. They also
Okay.
have a lot of techno
Yeah.
techno scene, but they are definitely like also huge fans of metal. It's we came to the realization that more like the Scandinavians are more into metal.
Okay.
But that is like, then we had different thoughts about why not going into that direction when it comes to moving here. But yeah, for sure, in Germany, you have so many big metal concerts that we are so happy to take part of. So
That's
for
nice.
sure.
Do you miss home at all? Or does Germany feel home now?
Well, I miss some parts. So the biggest part that I miss is food, to be honest. It's quite a major difference. And also the beaches. That's for sure something I miss completely. But I think in terms of the general idea, Germany fits me better.
Nice.
Yeah.
You know, growing up in the US, I don't think of beaches at Israel, but I had a guy from Israel work for me, and he talked about how beautiful they were, and that, they just people don't think about that as a destination, but it really is beautiful ocean, beautiful beaches, beautiful a place for tourists. That's cool. That's exciting. I think all of us think about home and food. My
True.
dad was in the army. I spent 1 year in Germany when I was in junior high. We were in Frankfurt. It was 76. It was the Olympics were going to come. And so we Augsburg we were, and then we did a school trip to Munich, and I remember seeing the beautiful history that as a US citizen, we're so new, relatively speaking, to like Germany, that it is kind of bizarre. But my parents, my mom was from Louisiana, my grandparents from Louisiana. So we often talk about here living in Dallas, Texas, we miss the food from Louisiana. We miss the culture, the family. So I can absolutely agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, but if you think about it, Israel is even newer, much,
Yeah,
much, much newer,
sure.
but it actually gathers a lot of different types of history, especially when it comes to food. So actually in Israel, I could encounter food from Russia, Morocco, like Europe, and everything together, and then also see amazing fusions because of that. And
Right.
I think, and you can say like all the children of Israel are a fusion. I'm a fusion of Iran and Romania, something like
Yeah.
that. So it's really interesting. Um, and here when you come to Germany, you see like proper German food, or let's say European food, also like Turkish food, but that's a different story.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think that also the diversity in Israel is also something that that a lot of people find really interesting. And then that is like, I hear a lot of people saying like, oh my God, Israel is so interesting because of this and that. I'm like, yeah, I grew there. I know, and at some point it could also be too much. So it really depends on how much of a thrill seeker you are.
Well,
Yeah.
we talk about the US being a melting pot, because we are a nation of immigrants, but to a certain degree, right, Israel is too. I mean,
It's
because
100%
when
that.
when they established the state, Jewish people from all over the world went there. So I could see um, Dallas, where I'm in, has a fair amount of different um, ethnic. So um, we get a fair sampling of different restaurants and foods, right? That it is. But I can imagine, similar to like if you go to New York, that you can find great food of any country in the world in that big blending. So yeah, I could see that. Um, you talked about and we're going to get to your music in a minute, but um, it sounds like you are very passionate about women entrepreneurs. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Oh yeah.
And at this point,
Actually,
Eden's going, "This was not on the agenda, Jesse."
no, go on, please give me
Yeah.
more. I'm super happy to talk about it because I even today when I like gathered my thoughts about what I'm going to talk about, then I came to the realization of like how far back I take this whole female empowerment
Yeah.
feelings that I have, and I take it all the way to high school actually. Um, it really started, I think, there, also because I was bullied, and then at some point I found like my power and saying like, hey, this is not okay, and like men cannot come and just say whatever or do whatever. um and we kind of had this program in Jerusalem of um, combining Jewish and Arab students together and create movies together. And I participated in that when I was 16, and we had like the first week getting to know each other, and then we had to think of ideas for the movies, and it was mainly documentary style. And I proposed um, strong women as the topic, and it was chosen. I was the only only girl in the group and only Jewish, and it was amazing. I was the interviewer, and I met like really awesome women, and it was really, really fun and empowering. And I think that really started that journey. And now, because I'm doing this meetup, I also get to see how much different it is when you're even approaching entrepreneurship. If you're a female or a male, it still is. And I have no idea how it is in the United States, but I think it is still not completely equal in a way, which is also good, because I think women do it differently. They do it also from passion, from and when they approach each other, you see the dynamic also becoming differently. So I see in those workshops that we do, or the networks that we do, how acceptance is all around, and how we create a safe space, and how there are a lot of questions, because there's a lot of fear also coming behind it, because it's not something people push, especially women, to do, like being an entrepreneur. In Germany, I think it's even stronger, since there, at least what I feel is that they're being blocked a lot toward going into that direction of entrepreneurship or even a freelancer, because it's very risky and insecure. And if you're a woman, you have to be stable, you have to be, you have like a path that was written for you, especially with like having a family and children and so on. And a lot of times they just don't find a way to go into their passion as well. And so this is why I find it super interesting, and also something that I would never give up on doing, or I hope so, even though we do it completely for free, to just inspire others to go into that realm if they want to, or at least be interested, or at least follow what they want to do. This is, to me, a huge topic.
No, I agree with you. And I know one of the things I did in the beginning of 2022 is I noticed that um, being a Bruce Springsteen fan podcast, I and I mean this with all love in my heart, I got a bunch of old white guys joining me to talk about Bruce, right? And I'm an old white guy, right? And so I specifically at the beginning of 2022 on all my social media said I will always welcome any Bruce fan, regardless of age, race, color, but I said, but I am looking for more diversity. And so I was lucky. I guess I ended up, I did the math and I ended up with like almost 40% of my guests were non-male last year. And so I was happy to hear that different voices, to hear a different perspective. Um, I just saw something on LinkedIn where a a young woman, or could be an old woman, a woman was explaining that she was always chastised in meetings that she was interrupting people and she was rude. And so she specifically made a point of not saying anything till someone asked her a question. And she goes, it went like 2 weeks where no one asked her opinion. And then she brought that up to the group, going, okay, you guys said, and I've counted how many times you guys interrupted each other. Why are you holding me to a different standard? And I don't want to get too political on this, but I will for a minute. I do think society, not everyone, but as a big bun of it holds women to a different standard. And I don't think it's fair. So I think good for you.
Thank you. I have heard it a lot. How if a guy is saying something with a lot of power and certainty, then he's powerful or he's ambitious. And
Right.
if a woman does that, then she's pushy. She's a bitch.
Right. Yes.
And this is something that is still up until today, I think, still is. I can so happily say that in my job, it's not the case at all. And it's all very open conversation. There are different issues, but it has nothing about gender to do with. So, yeah.
And remind me, what is your day gig?
I'm a content creator. I
Okay.
create tutorial videos.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very fun. Yeah, that's right. So you get to use your creativity to do that.
Yeah, not really.
No, okay.
No, I mean, obviously it has something to do with creativity, but I think when it comes to something that you are super passionate about, it's not always the case that you can express that in your job, right? Because you have expectations from other, or at least like somebody has created this guideline of how you're supposed to work in, and then it's still like it's a boundary. You need to find your creativity within the boundary. Yeah, but I will keep you on a little secret. I
Yeah.
discovered that I don't like doing videos too much.
Okay.
I mean, I can do it, but to me, like my true passion is to work with people.
Yeah.
So really, like this is what I wanted to do for the longest time, and this is one of the reasons that I went to study teaching in university in Israel, and I was a teacher for a year. That didn't last long.
Okay.
Not because I don't like talking with people, but just
Yeah.
different story.
All right. Well, we won't tell anyone that you don't like doing content.
Good.
I do my job is I run a call center. So where for people offer roadside assistance for the RV industry, so the big travel trailers and things. And so by far the best part of my job is working with the people, helping someone get better at their job, helping them if they have an issue, they're running into a family problem. What can I do to help them with their schedule? What can I do to give them some extra grace? So absolutely, I agree that,
You understand me then?
Yes, I do. I absolutely do. The other thing I would think is the and I'm not putting words in your mouth, but I can see the story. Like you're going, hey, I could do this really creatively so I could engage the audience. The people watching this video will really gather on. They'll learn this material. And like, no, 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 we just don't need anything fancy. We just need you to get the material out. Okay, but if we and so I'm sure you go, if you can find a clever way to say something, or just a little bit of like, oh, this was a I was able to throw in a little pun or a little bit of animated things that kind of made me smile. Good, it's not just a boring PowerPoint. It's not just a boring
Yeah.
video. Yes, I can imagine.
Yeah, actually, this is something that my husband is struggling a lot. He's working in the same job with me.
Yeah,
He's really like on the desk behind me, not now, but
yeah,
normally. Same company as well. So we work together
yeah,
like all the time.
yeah,
And he is the real creative one. So
right,
he's really like the one who goes in the details of animation and like
yeah.
After Effect and all this jazz. And then he would do something amazing, 3D stuff like that, and then they would be like, oh, that's not into the corporate branding, sorry. So
Just suck the life out of me, right? It's just
I
yes,
mean,
yeah, I
if
know.
you want to really go as creative as you want to, it's definitely not through the path of a job most of
Yeah,
the time.
absolutely, I agree.
Yeah.
Um, all right, so let's talk to music. So, um, you mentioned before we hit record that this is not something you've always wanted to do. So, talk to me your journey of how you ended up being one of the lead singers for a metal swing band. And by the way, Shoo Bee Doom,
Shoo Bee
right,
Doom,
is
right,
the name of the band. So, all
right.
right. So tell me a little bit, Eden.
Right. So actually, I did start from the get-go with music. Actually, music is surrounding my life forever. And actually, I started dancing when I was 5 years old and performing already as a dancer in the age of 5. And when I was in primary school, we had a music teacher. And since first grade, she was like, please join the choir. She was also responsible for the school choir. Please join the choir, join the choir. And I was like, yeah, it doesn't sound like something I want to do, stuff like that. And she persisted until fourth grade. And I was like, okay, what the heck? She keeps on bugging me with that. And eventually I didn't look back, and I continued in the choir from fourth grade until the end of high school. I could say that I saw more stage than the actual how the ceremony looks like from the crowd perspective. I enjoyed it so much, being on stage, dancing, singing, doing whatever I can. All like the school ending parties, stuff like that. Everything was something I took part in, and I truly enjoyed it. But then, um, after high school, you have to think about what you want to do with your life. That is
Yeah.
normally how you go with it. Obviously, in Israel, you have also the army, but this is a different story. But
Yeah,
yeah,
to remind people, Israel has a mandatory, you have to spend a certain time in the, once you reach 18, right? You have to
right,
spend, it's mandatory you spend a little bit of time in the army.
right. Like for females and males, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I joined a special program in which the army first sent me to the university and
Okay.
paid 75% of my tuition, but then I had to serve more.
Okay.
And so I studied chemistry and I studied teaching. So actually, during the time that I was about to finish high school, my parents would just talk to me a lot about how I should think about my future and how I should be in the university, because this is kind of like, that's the path, right? You have to take that path. It doesn't matter what kind of thing you're going to study in the university, just study something. It's just that was the time for the parents really being devoted into that notion of you going to the university. And then and so I decided on chemistry because I really liked it, not to because I thought like there's a huge future after that. But like singing and participating in music creation really wasn't part of this future. So it was kind of ditched out, even though I always got back to that in my mind. But yeah, you know, you have to be an adult, you have to think about your future, and music never has a clear future for anyone, especially not parents. Getting back to music was actually due to my husband. As I said, when we met, he had the metal band, and they were creating music for a while. And actually, he took his band all the way to Germany, like not all of them, only one person joined in, and they have formed the rest of the band here in Germany. And I was always on the side, kind of like, I wish I was there. I wish I could participate. I wish I could be on stage with them. But yeah, I knew that the genre that they were doing was not really something I could fit in. And eventually, last May 2022, my husband had that feeling that he's doing his job for quite a while and he needed something new. And he was asking me, what is it that we want to do? And he gave me like three options. What do I think he should do next? And one of them was swing metal. And I was like, you know what, how about we do that as kind of like a couple activity? You know, you don't have to think about it as something to go famous with, but just this is something we can do together. And then we started working on this song that is going to be released soon. And we kind of like found it so interesting and so great. And also when I heard that he said swing metal, I was like, you know what, crazy, but I love it, because we started like going into that swing direction 2 years ago. It was like metal all along, but then electro swing actually just came into our life, and that was really amazing. So then we found out like really the whole
Yeah.
how it works together, and really
How
enjoyed it.
how would you describe what is swing metal?
Well, I like to describe it as like happy metal.
Okay.
So it kind of brings the upbeat and brass instruments into the power of metal, and like the guitars and the drums of metal. So it's kind of like a very cool combination in a way.
Hmm.
To me, it's kind of like the power that is missing in swing and the fun that is missing in metal. Like really, they found a way together.
Okay.
Yeah.
So have you guys been performing live anywhere, or is this right now just a studio project?
Yeah, no, it's we want to get enough songs, enough original songs, before we start going on tours or on shows. We heard that this is like at least the more difficult part. So
Yeah.
at least we want to have some stuff, because when we talk to people, hey, we have a swing metal band, they all go like, huh?
Yeah.
What does that mean? And so we want to kind of first have this identity created and people understanding what that means. I think this was also something that kind of made it difficult to even find people who want to join us into the band, because they would understand what metal is or what swing is, but what does it go together and how does it look like? This is a bit more difficult for them. Yeah.
So I'm gonna I just sent you a link in our discussion. There is a band called Brave Combo out of Denton, Texas, and they do rock and roll polka.
Oh.
But it's really more than that. What they do is they take all this kind of folk music, um, polka music, and then they do People Are Strange polka. They do these different versions of songs. So what they do original songs, they do traditional polka songs, and then they will take mashups where they will do different versions of songs with it. They are amazing, and so you should check them out, because they have the same problem, right? Like now then they've actually been nominated for Grammys. I mean,
Ooh.
they are very successful. When you first started out, it was like, what is rock and roll polka? And so like in their website, they say they do salsa, merengue, rock, polka, zydeco, cha-cha, the blues. And it is so anyway, I think check them out. You'll enjoy them. Really, really great guys.
Absolutely.
All
I
right.
will.
Yeah, so let's talk about the single. Um, if it's okay with you, I'm going to put a little um post. I'll edit in a little bit of the song.
Yeah,
Okay, if that's
definitely.
okay. All right, so Eden, so we'll just be quiet for a minute so I'll know when to insert this. All right, so here we go. But why don't you introduce the song? Tell me about the song, the title, and give me a little setup, and then I'll insert it.
Sure. So this single is called Old School Medicine. The whole notion of the lyrics and what it means is basically how we criticize the approach of the society with very old-fashioned solutions to a very modern problems. And in this song, we are kind of teasing about how, especially in like a mental health area, when you come with an issue, then first of all, the society is shushing you up. They're just like, don't mention that. And second, if you go to try and treat it, you kind of go into a 10-minute session and boom, here's a pill, go about it with your life. And so this is let's say the straightforward explanation, but also behind it, we're not only talking about mental health and this whole area of medicine, but it's also, to me, about, let's say, the educational system, that they're still using a very old-fashioned ways of teaching. And yeah, that can go into so many areas.
All
Yeah,
right,
so
so
this
here we
is
go.
in general.
Old school medicine, Shoo Bee Doom. Here we go. All right, that should give me enough. And I'm writing down a note. All right, and we're back, Eden. That was Old School Medicine by Shoo Bee Doom. Who's the other lead vocalist? Because I heard your voice.
Right. That's my husband, Tom.
Okay.
He's the guitarist. He is the mind behind everything, basically. And my dear husband.
Very nice. Good. So I think this is really interesting. You were nice enough to give me a link to this beforehand. It will be released January 31st. Am I correct?
Right.
Yeah, so this will come out right around that time. So we'll include a link to where you can go find the song. Um, you know, I think it's a very clever song. Help me, Doc. The clock is ticking. Can't stand all this constant sinning. Calm me down. I'm ready to begin. I know one of the complaints I hear from fellow parents is that the school is, and boy, this is going to get political, so I apologize in advance. That teachers will very quickly, your kid's hyperactive, they need to be Redland.
Right.
Versus, there are times when, yes, there is issues with some children where medication is absolutely needed. But that isn't just because you shouldn't confuse the normal energy and energetic, of inquisitiveness to Harry Chapin years ago did a song about that. Flowers are red, green grass is green. I'm getting the song, and it talked about education that the child was indoctrinated to do things the same way, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we at times we try to we don't want exceptions. We don't want outside. So what made you think about writing about this? I take it, did you write it or with your husband?
We write it together, yes.
Okay.
But to be fair, actually, this is right around my alley of conversation, because I
Yeah.
have so much criticism against this education system and how it still operates the same way as like 200 years ago. And I think this is the root of the issue. And it's even not the fact that the children have energy. Obviously they have energy, but it's the fact that you have to sit down for so long, you have to concentrate for the longest time, which is not even making sense into how long you can concentrate, and how you have to really put an effort into even, try to get the information in just from listening to the teacher talking. And it is not natural. We're trying to forcing it to become natural. And then if somebody is more than usual, cannot take it, then we're saying, okay, he is like ADHD, you have to get Ritalin. And actually both of my siblings were on Ritalin, and so and I've seen how they affected them, because obviously it has side effects. So to me, that's a lot of criticism about this whole topic of it can there is an easy solution to that, but you are talking about changing a full system, which is never easy. So it's not like it doesn't exist, the solution. It's just it needs to be joint forces.
So
Yeah.
in my day job, I lead a team of anywhere from 70 to 120 agents. We the summer we are a lot busier, so we have a lot more agents, and then the winter we're quieter. So we go through cycles. And I was discussing that I have trouble communicating with my team. And the I try to make my emails entertaining. I try to throw in a few, jokes or something, but I just didn't feel like I was connecting with them. And I was in a roundtable business, kind of similar. This is a call center business, and somebody said, I send it out. He says, I post it on our Teams channel. I send an email. Hey, you know what? I record a video of me giving the update. And he said, because different people learn different ways and they hear different things. So I have started doing that. And at first you feel really stupid, but now then I have it and I go, I go, oh, hello. Hi, Jesse Jackson here. I want to talk about headsets, and I'll like, a lot of you are using wireless headsets. I know those are convenient, but our phone system doesn't like wireless headsets. So if, and I just 2-3 minutes, and I post it, and that way I feel like I'm communicating, trying to meet them where they are. Right. I do the same thing with our training team. I said, everyone learns differently. And you can't just, okay, I'm going to spit out the data and you've got to get it. You've got to meet them where they are and engage them. And I think really great teachers, and there are a lot of them, do that. And then
Right.
I think there are others that are, I had a really good friend, and I'll get off my soapbox, Doug, who said, if I know the material, I can teach it any way you need me to. If I don't really know the material, then I have to follow a format. He said, so I make sure I really know the material. So that way I can change however I need to do to engage my audience so that they will get it.
I actually have a different approach. I
Okay,
think that
please.
teachers, I use this kind of metaphor. Teachers are actually tour guides. That's how I call it. So it doesn't have to be necessarily that you know everything, but at least you know how to guide the students through the material. So it could be that you are exploring something with them together, but at least if they need some help or they need assistance to get something, let's say for me, for example, I was teaching 10th graders, and I was never the kind of teacher of like, okay, open your notebooks, I'm writing everything on the note of the on the blackboard, and they would I would be like, okay, today we're doing something in the computers. And I remember me being like, I don't know, the age of 16, hearing the teacher says that, I'm like, oh my God, yes.
Mhm.
And they were like, why? Can we not just, write what you write and that's it? They were so used to that. And when I tried to bring something new for them, it would be like an extra chore. So I would tell them, okay, you have to write an assignment in Word, Microsoft Word. And they're like, I don't even know how to create a title. We're talking about 16, like age of 16. That is
Sure.
really a terrible thing to do, to not know when you're in the age of 16, in my opinion. Um, right. So in that way, I'm saying I know how to tell you about Word and how to use that, but maybe the exploration we do it together, right? We kind of find a way. And I think these are the most interesting projects. And I can guarantee you that these projects are the things that students remember the most. The age of like when I was in 11th grade, for my English class, I got a project to do with two other friends, create a different kind of school. And we chose to create a school for animation characters. So you have like the heroes, you have the co-heroes, you have the funny stuff, like funny characters
Yeah.
and stuff like that. We had to create a whole school, with curriculums and timetables, and even like extracurricular activities, and even a trip outside of school. And that was so interesting. I remember it so well. And that was many years ago. But I remember also being super excited about it, because I got the chance to even understand how school system works and how difficult it is to even find the schedule and how to make everything incorporate together. And it's not, obviously we did it in English, but it has nothing really to do in particular with English, but that was what made it so special. So to me, when you are taking a project of exploring something together, then it makes it much more memorable and it sticks better. So
Yes.
in my opinion, really is like, if you kind of make that interesting and you're saying, okay, I'm giving you all the information, let's go and explore it together. It's more and I think if they also see that the teacher is like not above everybody, knows everything, that is making it even easier to relate to and to connect with. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I think in exactly. I understand exactly what you're saying, and I think we are actually pretty close to doing that, right? The feeling. I often tell people, one of my favorite writers was Isaac Asimov, who is a science fiction writer, and he talked about the quickest way to learn something is to try to have to teach it, because
Right,
then you start,
definitely.
and you can say, "Hey, I don't know either, but we're going to figure this out together."
Right.
And then we could go. And I think there is also a one of the things that works for me is I have a lot of I try to be humble. I try to go to my team, saying that I know I have faults and I'm making mistakes. And so please give me grace, and I'm going to give you grace on the same thing. Same thing on this podcast. I try to, make a welcome atmosphere for my guests, because I can learn something from them and we can have a good discussion.
I do
So,
feel welcome. So
oh, thank you.
it's working.
Thank you. That makes me very happy. All
Yeah.
right. So I think, God, I love the song. I love it even more now that the thing. So, um, if someone wants to find it, what's the best way?
Yeah, we are on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok. Choose your poison.
Okay.
In every place, it's Shoo Bee Doom. You'll see, I guess, on the description how to write it, and I will give you our Linktree link, and then you can find everything on one
Yeah.
location.
Yes, that it sounds wonderful. Please go, check it out, listen to it, support. Um, swing metal. This sounds
Yes.
absolutely awesome. I appreciate it. Um,
Thank you.
is there anything I should have asked you that I haven't yet before we get to the Mary question?
Hmm. I don't think so. We talked so much about things I never thought would come up, actually, to be
Well,
fair.
I hope it was fun.
No, it was amazing. I love these topics. I can talk about education for like the
Yeah,
longest time. So yeah.
great. All right. So, yes, I will include a link that where you can find all your different social media platforms. I wish you a lot of success with the single, but before I let you go, if you are a fan of the band, or if you're just one of Eden's cohorts and friends or coworkers, I end every podcast with the Mary question. And what that is Jay Armstrong, who is a retired English teacher. When he was teaching, he would take 2 days of his honors English class, and they would discuss Bruce Springsteen's song Thunder Road. They would go through the lyrics, they would talk about the themes of the song, and they would compare it to like other poetry, like Robert Frost, The Road Not Taken. And at the end of the 2 days, he would ask the question, does Mary get does Mary get in the car at the end of Thunder Road? So, Eden, that is your question. Does Mary get in the car?
So I think she does go in the car, Jesse.
Okay.
I can say first, I read the lyrics without listening to the song. And what I picked up was like the feeling of fear and loneliness, and together also with the fact that the narrator is not really offering like the most amazing escape out of it. And so then after I listen to the song together with reading the lyrics, then you get a different feeling because of like the music and how he sings it. Then you get like, okay, you know what, maybe it's not the most amazing escape, but it has some sort of like an adventure feeling to it. So I think, even though I was born in the 90s, when it came out, which was like the 70s, I think the spirit would have been, let's go for it, with that kind of music. So yeah, I think she did.
Yes, absolutely. Great answer. I love your explanation. Um, one of my favorite answers is a guy said it depends. He said if it's the full E Street Band playing the song, she gets in the car because the song ends with this triumphant music. He said if it's Bruce solo, just him and his guitar, she doesn't, because there's an ending. So yes, I agree. I've had one other person that was wonderful. She did not listen to the music. She just read the lyrics and she said, oh my God, this guy's going to kill her. She was like, oh my God, it was so funny. Yeah. So thank you, Eden. Once again, the band is Shoo Bee Doom. It's Eden, is just a joy. I had so much fun visiting with you. You're welcome anytime. Uh, if you guys have another single, just reach out to me and go, hey, Jesse, let's visit again. Um, Go ahead and tell everyone again how to find you.
Yeah, I would first be happy to come back. I really had a lot of fun. And yeah, almost every social media existing, we are there. Just write our name, Shoo Bee Doom, and you will find us for
All
sure.
right. Thank you. Happy New Year.
Happy
Good
New
luck on,
Year.
yeah, good luck on the single. And I look forward to visiting again. Listeners, you go, please, please be safe, be kind, and that's how we're going to get through this. Bye. And we're